In a political spectacle unlike anything we've ever witnessed, JD Vance, the firebrand senator, the voice of a forgotten America, was unceremoniously kicked out of the White House. The air crackled with tension, the silence deafening after the storm. Vance's tearful departure wasn't just a personal tragedy, it sent shockwaves through the very foundations of Washington, D.C. But what ignited this political inferno? Was it betrayal from within the highest echelons of power? Was it unchecked ambition spiraling out of control? Or was it something far, far more sinister lurking beneath the surface? Prepare to have everything you thought you knew about JD Vance shattered, because the truth behind his emotional White House exit is darker, more complex, and more shocking than anyone could have imagined. Buckle up, because this is a story of power, intrigue, and a political reckoning that will redefine the future of American politics. To understand the seismic event that unfolded at the White House, we must first rewind the clock. JD Vance wasn't born into privilege. His story is one of grit, determination, and a relentless climb through the ranks of American politics. Hillbilly Elegy, his 2016 memoir, became an instant sensation, catapulting him into the national spotlight. He became the poster child for the forgotten working class, the voice of those who felt ignored and marginalized by the coastal elites. Vance masterfully tapped into the anxieties and frustrations of a nation grappling with economic uncertainty and cultural division. His message resonated deeply, and his star rose rapidly within the Republican Party, especially among those drawn to the populist movement. He was young, charismatic, and fiercely ambitious, a perfect ally for figures like Donald Trump, who recognized his potential to rally the base. The alliance between Vance and Trump was initially a marriage of convenience, built on mutual benefit. Trump, the ultimate outsider who stormed the White House, saw in Vance a potential successor, someone who could carry the populist torch into the future. Vance, in turn, reveled in the power and connections that came with being aligned with the Trump administration. But beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect partnership, cracks began to appear. Vance, driven by his own insatiable political ambitions, craved more influence, more control, more recognition. The Trump White House was a pressure cooker of competing factions, all vying for dominance. Vance's relentless pursuit of influence inevitably clashed with those already entrenched in power, those who saw him as a threat to their own ambitions. Tensions simmered, alliances shifted, and Vance found himself increasingly isolated. He was playing a dangerous game, navigating a treacherous landscape where loyalty was fleeting and betrayal was always just around the corner. The breaking point came with an invitation, a seemingly innocuous meeting at the White House that Vance believed would solidify his position as a key player in the administration. But what transpired behind those closed doors was a political execution. Sources say the meeting quickly devolved into a heated confrontation. Vance, frustrated by his perceived lack of influence, demanded a more prominent role, even hinting that his loyal base of supporters could be used as leverage. This blatant power play backfired spectacularly. Trump's advisors, sensing Vance's growing ambition and perceived disloyalty, saw him as a liability. They believed he had become too demanding, too vocal, and too focused on his own self-promotion. As tensions reached a fever pitch, Vance's once close relationship with Trump crumbled before his eyes. In a dramatic and humiliating moment, JD Vance was asked to leave the meeting, not with a polite farewell, but with a clear message: his services were no longer required. As Vance walked out of the White House, the weight of his failure must have been crushing. All the political capital he had invested in aligning himself with Trump had evaporated, leaving him stranded in the political wilderness. Was this the end of his career? Or was it the catalyst for something far more radical? The answer was about to shock the nation. Moments after his ejection from the White House, JD Vance unleashed a video on social media that sent shockwaves across the globe. His voice was shaky, his eyes red-rimmed, but his words were a declaration of war against the very system he had tried to climb. With raw, unfiltered emotion, Vance announced his immediate resignation from the Senate. The video went viral within minutes, leaving his supporters, who had once hailed him as the future of the GOP, in a state of disbelief. "This was never the plan," he confessed, his voice cracking with emotion. "I wanted to serve the people, but I'm no longer able to do so in this broken system. The same people who fought for change are now the ones holding us back." His resignation wasn't just a political maneuver, it was a personal indictment of a system he believed was irredeemable. For many, it was the ultimate betrayal. Had Vance simply cracked under pressure? Or was there a deeper, more strategic motive behind his dramatic exit? Political analysts scrambled to dissect Vance's true motives. Was he pushed out by shadowy forces within the White House? Had he lost his way, succumbing to the temptations of power? One thing was certain: his resignation was a political earthquake that had destabilized the Republican Party. His supporters questioned whether the populist movement could survive without its charismatic leader. But Vance's departure wasn't just about his own career, it sent a chilling message to the rest of the political world. Even the most powerful figures can be discarded when the tides of politics shift. With Vance gone, the very future of the GOP was thrown into question. What would happen to the party now that its most promising young star had walked away? As the world grappled with the shock of Vance's resignation, rumors began to swirl, whispers of a comeback, a new movement, a political revolution. Just days after his departure, reports surfaced that Vance was meeting with former allies, rallying them for a new political force aimed at challenging the establishment from the outside. He was no longer playing by the rules of Washington, he was forging his own path. Vance's new strategy was simple: bring back the values of hard work, self-reliance, and family. But Vance wasn't just seeking support from the usual political circles. He was building a coalition of radical thinkers, social media influencers, and even former adversaries. These weren't your typical political donors or party leaders, they were firebrands, activists, and individuals disillusioned by both the Democratic and Republican systems. Reports circulated of late-night meetings, held in undisclosed locations, where Vance discussed his plans with tech moguls, influencers, and even former military personnel. As Vance's movement gained traction, the backlash from both political parties was swift and brutal. The establishment, long used to controlling the narrative, was forced to reckon with an outsider who had the potential to rally millions of disillusioned voters. Behind closed doors, strategists for both the GOP and the Democrats were working overtime, crafting plans to undermine Vance's movement before it could gain more ground. But just as Vance seemed to be gaining momentum, a new challenger emerged from the shadows, a figure no one had seen coming. This challenger, someone with significant political clout and media presence, was poised to completely upend Vance's carefully crafted narrative: Elon Musk. Musk, famous for his space ventures and tech empire, wasn't content to simply argue with Vance on social media. Instead, Musk made a shocking move that would forever alter the course of Vance's political journey. He made a play for Vance's core base. At a high-profile tech conference, Musk announced that he would no longer support traditional political parties. Instead, Musk proclaimed that he was creating a new political platform, one that was entirely centered around technological progress, free markets, and the elimination of political labels.